What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another stress-free episode of the TradeMarke Podcast. Stress-free, good vibes only on this episode. We're really excited. We've got our new friend, Melissa Broughton from Busy Bee Advisors on with us. And we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. I know it's everyone's favorite time of year. So we've got, a lot of good things to talk about today. And let's go ahead and get started.
Step into the TradeMarke, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trades. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Gerardo from Remarkable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Listen in as we're here for the big ideas, the game changers, and the everyday successes. Because at the TradeMarke, we're with the trades and for the trades.
All right. So I'm going to pick up where Eric kind of went in and out. So we're super excited today. We have Melissa here. She is the owner of Busy Bee Advisors, and she's here to share her expert insights on maximizing tax savings and boosting profitability for small businesses. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to talk about, math on a Friday.
Math and taxes.
So tell us a little bit about you and tell us, how'd you get started in the tax business?
First, thanks for having me. And that was a great intro, by the way. Sometimes I am interviewed on podcasts that they have kind of these dull intros. And I just always feel bad for the audience because not only are you listening to a topic about taxes, which you may not be as excited about as I am, but you have this sleepy intro. So great intro, you guys. About me, I started my company. I started our accounting firm in 2017 after leaving corporate America, kind of on an impulse, and then having a little bit of an accident, which really forced me to figure out, but at the same time gave me time to figure out kind of the perfect business plan. And we launched in October of 2017 and really haven't looked back since. We started out as a bookkeeping firm and started the tax division of our company in 2018, 2019. So it was pretty fast after we started. And really the whole reason behind starting the tax side of our business was just seeing that, first of all, let's just accept that the tax system is completely rigged. It is not a deck of cards that are stacked in the favor of a small business owner. And the way others in my profession have been treating their clients is just, I'll say, wrong. And I have a lot of CPAs that I'm friends with and a lot of other, financial advisors that I'm friends with. And I say that and I kind of get them pissed off, but really they are like glorified order takers, right? We go to school to learn this trade and we then kind of forget that our clients don't have the same level of knowledge or understanding or desire to have any really kind of knowledge or understanding on the tax code. And yet we put the responsibility of getting all of the numbers and information on our clients. And our clients, like I said, they don't know what they don't know. So when we launched the tax division of our company, we were really mindful that we didn't want to do, 2,000 returns a year or 3,000 returns a year like some of the bigger tax firms do. We kind of cap it at about 500. So we're a little bit of a boutique tax firm, but we really push on working with our clients throughout the year before it comes time to file taxes. So we're changing in our own little way, kind of the way taxes are done, or that's what we're trying to do at least.
I love it. As marketers, I think we feel the same way. What you don't know as business owners. And the way that you just explained it, it's very relatable, but it also puts me at ease knowing how much you care and you're passionate behind it. Like I can feel that energy, and that's exciting to me because Eric and I talk about marketing the same way. They're like, We're like, yeah, like you're not a marketer. Like, why would you do your own marketing? And taxes, it's not something that you get into and you're like, I'm going to start a business because I really want to pay extra taxes, right? I really want, right? I really want to understand it. And then there's like estimated tax. It's just a lot. So thank you for people like you out there to really help us and get that out of the way. So is this like the most busy time of the year for you?
So we haven't really hit the busy time yet. And one of the things that I love to tell people is your relationship with your tax preparer is only as good as you make it and as they're willing to. You always want to have, in my opinion, a tax professional that you're working with who you feel like you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm worried about this. I mean, let's think about right now. We've got, and I promise I won't get into politics at all, but we do have a new administration that's come in. Perhaps you've heard. And whether you're super excited about that or you're terrified about that, there's a lot of things that are out there on that 24-hour news cycle that aren't even real. And there's so many business owners that just have this apprehension. Or, I mean, I talked to somebody earlier today who was like, she was excited. She couldn't even tell me why she was excited, but she was just super excited. So I think on either side of wherever you fall, you need to find a source that you can go to find out if the information is real, because there's a lot of rumors out there, and your tax should be that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I'm asking this purely for myself, like, because there are different types of tax preparers, right? Like, so my CPA does my taxes, but not my books. And so I want them to give me strategies, like beforehand. So it's basically like all year long, like you're looking to optimize basically my financial plan for my business. Does that happen?
It does. So that's what we do, but that's not what most tax professionals do. And I'll say, hey, it's not to bash other tax professionals. It's just really not the way the industry has demanded tax professionals to be. Most tax professionals are, essentially glorified. And I say this hesitantly, but they're like glorified order takers. And they're glorified order takers because that's what they've been trained to be. They've been trained to say, okay, it's tax time. Here's your tax organizer. And you as the client collects all of that data. You send it over to your tax professional. They prep your taxes. And then you kind of feel like, okay, well, they're doing the best possible job they can, which let's hope that they are. And maybe they'll give you some like offhanded advice of, oh, you should spend more or you should do this. But it's always the spend more. And that was something where I felt like there had to be more. And I will say my business partner, who is also my husband, is an avid gamer. So when you take into this, like the desire and the love of strategy and gaming, it really works well. And we both get so excited about, when a client has reached that point where we know their numbers and they're calling us and they're saying, okay, so I want to go on this vacation, but I want to know how I can write this off for my business. What do I need to do? To us, that's when like the magic has happened, because we're able to work with them as they're going through things, or maybe before they've made a decision to do things, and not trying to figure things out after the fact. It's pretty amazing. I mean, on average, our clients save anywhere from 30 to 70% as to opposed to what they were paying in taxes from their previous preparer. And that's with a live preparer, not going to like a strip mall tax kind of a place. Because that's a whole other conversation. We'll just say that. Don't do
So, so you're saying if I'm able to walk to a Subway while my taxes are being prepared, I shouldn't use that kind of.
Well, you may not
go
be
get a
getting
haircut
all of the advantages you should. Yes. One hub. If it's a prepare your taxes while you wait kind of a situation, you might want to be a little bit leery.
That Or what if they gave a sandwich away while you're getting your taxes done?
Wouldn't that be? Or what if you can be someplace where you can buy your laundry detergent and
and get your taxes done?
and get your
That'd be
taxes.
amazing. Yeah. So do you have oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, when you've hit the point that you own a business, you need to have a different relationship when it comes to your taxes. And, most tax preparers, it's pretty standard in our industry to offer a free consultation. But I tell people, approach that as almost like dating, and not that you want to end up in bed with your tax preparer, but I may need to figure out a different way to phrase that. But approach it as you want to get to know them. You want to feel if their energy works. Is this somebody that you would feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling if you had a question, or would you feel intimidated or something like that? Some tax professionals are not approachable. I mean, we do trainings. We probably go to 5 or 6 different continuing education type things throughout the year. And I have met some tax professionals that I want to fall asleep just having a cup of coffee with them. So you have to find somebody that you feel you connect with. That's where I think the magic really starts.
Yeah.
I agree. And do you guys have a podcast where you talk about this stuff?
We do. We love what we do so much. We've got a podcast. It's called The Real Buzz, Taking the Sting Out of Taxes. And it is all about taxes and tax strategies.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And could you share some key approaches that maybe small business owners can implement to legally reduce their tax liability? Because I know that you talk about that a little bit on there. And I say legally.
Sure. I mean, one of the easiest things that you can do is looking at becoming a corporation, especially if you're in California. If you've hit what I would refer to as the income threshold. So if your business is at that profitability level, so that bottom line level on your profit and loss of $60,000 to $80,000 a year, you really want to have a conversation with your tax professional about becoming at least an S Corp. And I say that because, right off the bat, you're able to get over that 15% self-employment tax. So right there, that's a significant savings for a lot of business owners.
Yeah. My tax preparer moved me to an S Corp for a lot of reasons, but yep. I think that was a good, yay.
Yes, lots of benefits. And then the other piece, and it's not very sexy or exciting, but the other piece is this just keeping accurate books throughout the year. You don't necessarily need to hire a bookkeeper. If you know, and you'll be honest with yourself that you'll stay on top of it throughout the year, then do it yourself. Nobody's going to know your numbers as well as you do. But if you feel like you know yourself well enough you'll put it off until the year has ended and you'll spend, a weekend like you're cramming for an exam, you're probably going to miss some stuff. I feel like we have somebody who is red in the face and admitting that maybe
he's red in the face from being in Mexico, but probably.
Red, I'm red. Yeah, I was trying to hide my face there because I feel like you were calling me out.
That's me. Even know.
That's me. It's like January. I'm like, oh, let's go look
at do a year's worth of books, and then you hate the financial side of your business. There's so much information that you can get as a business owner from doing bookkeeping in a timely manner. It's a really powerful tool. So,
yeah. Well, for the DIYers out there, like what are some little things they can do every month, to make sure that they're keeping up with their books adequately? Asking for a friend.
Well, okay. So there's one thing I would love to offer to all of your listeners. I'd love to offer to send them a free copy of a book I wrote last year, and it's called The 4-Hour Bookkeeper. And essentially it's designed to help any small business owner know what to do their own bookkeeping throughout the year so that when it comes to tax time, everything is done and ready to go. So that is something I would like to offer as a free gift. But my philosophy, there's that horrible phrase of you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. Like, it's very cringe. But if you think about it, that your bookkeeping, if you ignore it, it's like this stack that just piles up and gets bigger and bigger. But if you make a 1-hour appointment with yourself every week, and that's your time to do your bookkeeping, it completely will change your mindset about it. So you set a timer, you know exactly what you're doing when your butt's in that chair. When the timer goes off, you walk away. And that's kind of the philosophy of what I teach. It's what I teach clients that are just tax clients and maybe don't have the need for bookkeeping services, or clients that have decided that, they want to take on the bookkeeping themselves because they want to be more in touch with what their business is doing. I'm so in favor of that. So
how do you know when you need a bookkeeper? I'm going to ask the most basic questions.
Sure. No, I love it. And they're basic questions, but they're questions that kind of everybody has. So there's a couple different ways to answer it. If you are honest with yourself and know that you will avoid the bookkeeping forever, and then you feel like you've repeatedly had to do, this mad dash, that would be an indicator that maybe you want to hire a bookkeeper. If you want to grow your business, if you want to scale your business at all, it might be helpful to hire a bookkeeper because they can help you, a good bookkeeper at least, can help you to measure different metrics within your company. So you can look at things that you decide are markers that you want to watch. And they can make some suggestions on growth and things like that. But there's certain industries, that we will recommend hiring a bookkeeper right off the bat. And then there's other industries where we will really say, they probably don't need to hire a bookkeeper. So it just depends on how many moving parts you have in your business. And if you think that you honestly will do it on a regular basis, or if it's something that you just think about and you feel dread, then it's worth it to hire somebody else.
Yeah,
I like it.
I agree.
I use the example of marketing. So, obviously marketing is a necessity of our business. We have a podcast, we have an online course that we launched back in August. We have a tax division, we have a bookkeeping division, and I literally know enough to say, okay, I like working with you as a professional as far as marketing, but as far as how all the inner workings work, I would rather pay more to hire a professional that I trust and have somebody try and teach me how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it's just not your wheelhouse and you're wasting more time, right? And time is money. And so now I'm hitting my own bottom line. And I totally understand what you're saying. And that's what I teach as well. It's like, I could do marketing all day long, but if you wanted me to do bookkeeping, I could do line item expense budgets. That's about it. Right. After that goes somewhere else. So I totally get what you're saying.
Play to your strengths. If you feel like it's something that sucks the life out of you, then maybe you should delegate it to somebody else.
Yeah, most definitely. So beyond tax savings, what strategies do you recommend for small businesses to overall increase their profitability?
The first and the biggest thing is the one, it's kind of like when we took the test in high school and you got what the rumor was, you got 200 points for spelling your name right on the SAT. So just by being a business owner, you're already doing one of the biggest things that can save you on taxes. You're owning a business. You have so many deductions that are available to you. Talk to your tax professional. And a lot of my answers are going to go back to talk to your tax professional, but really talk to your tax professional. Ask them about, deductions or write-offs that are specific to you in your industry. Because one of the things that I think people sometimes forget about is let's say I have somebody who's a film producer, that's a client. And then let's say I have a client who's a real estate agent. Well, the write-offs that are acceptable and would be appropriate for those two different industries are going to be very different. So things that, that would be expected for the movie producer are going to be really just that they need for their business are going to be absolutely different than what that real estate professional would need. That's just a random example. So that's a good question that you can ask your tax professional. But I will say, if you feel, and I think I said this earlier, but if you feel like you cannot pick up the phone and ask your tax person a simple question, or that they only talk to you once a year, like a bad freaking date, then you need to move on and you need to find somebody that you can have some kind of a relationship and rapport with.
I think the word feelings is a big one that stands out there, right? Because there are lots of feelings when it comes to, like for me, I can say that at first, when I was talking to my tax professional, I was like, I don't know what I'm asking. And I had to have the honest conversation with him and be like, look, like, I don't know what I don't know. And so I need you to tell me what I don't know. And so he's kind of taking me under his wing, like I'm his, daughter in some ways, but it's still like, is the conversation enough? Do I know enough? And I always feel that way. So yeah, it's a feelings kind of situation.
It is. And the way women, and of course I'm being a little stereotypical, but the way women approach finance and taxes is very different than the way men approach finance and taxes. So Eric may feel totally comfortable picking up the phone and being like, hey, here's my question. But you may feel like most women tell me they feel of totally intimidated. And there's this, what if this professional thinks I don't know enough? I think there's a piece where you just kind of have to bite the bullet and you have to ask that question that you just said of, I don't know what I don't know, educate me, and be willing. And if they give you an answer that you feel like still doesn't make sense, push back and ask. Most of us out there who are in the tax professional field are more than happy to share our knowledge. It's just we've been so conditioned with having clients that aren't interested that we've kind of stopped trying. I talk to people we've had interns who have just passed the CPA exam, or they've just passed their enrolled agents exam, or they're brand new tax preparers. And they're like so willing to share their knowledge with anybody who calls. They're like puking tax data on people.
Yeah.
But you talk to that same person, a year down the road or 2 or 3 tax seasons down the road, and you can really see the shift. And it's just because of the client interaction. When our clients don't really want to hear things, then we kind of stop sharing those things. But not us. We share.
Yeah, I love hearing that. I love hearing that because you're right. The only way what I found, even with marketing, I'll give marketing as an example, like it's building a community and teaching, right? Like giving value back of like, it makes people feel more comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. Because especially with marketing, you're spending a ton of money, right? Yeah. And so when there's money, my friend always says it's quiet where there's money. And the interesting part is that sometimes it's quiet because you want to ask questions and you're afraid to ask questions, and you're right about the demographics. Women are less risky sometimes. And so we have to be pushed to be a little bit more risky. We have to be pushed to, go and we ourselves have to push ourselves to get there sometimes. So I love hearing that. Eric, do you have any questions? Because I have a couple more. I was just wondering.
I'm just taking this all in as kind of a little bit of a reflection moment, and just really feeling convicted. I feel like the conviction is strong right now for me. But yeah, I would just say, like, as far as you mentioned earlier that there's different administrations and things could be changing, and they always are changing, I feel like.
It's true. They are.
What are some like yeah. So what are some like, I guess, like, what are some trends or, any type of upcoming changes or trends that you kind of see as emerging for 2025?
I'm going to say there's lots of trends that we see let me take a step back. So everything right now for us is in the rumor phase, just like it is for consumers. So if I could have a crystal ball and see what, tax changes are going to come into play, that would be awesome. But I don't. Most of our updates for the coming year come out usually between March and May. So they kind of come out right when we're filing taxes for the previous year. that's when we see the actual tax code and the education around that tax code come out. Keep in mind, for listeners, every time a new administration comes in, just like you said, there are changes to the tax code. I think that we'll see trickle down changes from this administration more than anything else. Those are my thoughts. But there are some things that are out there that I think people aren't aware of. One of the things that's huge right now is the mileage rate is at 70 cents a mile. And considering what 2 years ago, it was at like 55 cents a mile. If you're somebody who drives a lot for your business, definitely tracking mileage will add up quickly, because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Tracking mileage.
Mileage. None of it is really like mind-blowing or super sexy or super exciting. When we get into some of the strategies, they can get kind of exciting when you figure out like the how it works and how to make it work. But in most cases, it's just doing a small shift. Maybe I've been doing it this way, but now I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to have a little bit more proactive planning in what I'm doing. For real estate investors, one of the things that we will talk to them about, because the question is always, like, how can I write off my vacations? Well, when you're going to XYZ place, make sure you stop into a local real estate office and pick up some flyers for properties that you could potentially be interested in. There's just little things like that where maybe it's something that you would have thought of, or maybe it's something that you wouldn't have thought of. Hiring your kids is always a huge one. It's how we started doing it for both of our boys, and whether either one of them decide, depending on what they decide to do for school, they have the choice literally of going to any school they want to, and their college education is paid for. And we've been paying for it in salaries for them for truly doing work for the company that we've been doing for, 24 years for my oldest son and 17 years for my youngest son, where we started out with a small investment account that we had when my husband and I were both working. And then when I started the company, we put the kids on payroll, and, before you know it, college is paid for. And it's just a really amazing place to be in.
Yeah.
Eric, is Austin's college paid for?
Not yet.
It's going to be after this. We're going to talk to Melissa. Melissa's our person for here on out.
Our son is, I of course could brag as anybody can about my kids, but our youngest is looking at playing football, college ball, and he's got all these schools that are coming after him, and he's already decided who he wants to play for. And it's like, well, I guess if they offer something, yay. And if they don't, then we'll pay tuition.
Yeah, that's so cool. Congratulations. And I'm glad that you took the step to go after what you love and the passion. And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Oh, you're so welcome.
It means so much to us. And especially around this time of year, right? Like, I'll throw some of these clips on social media before we even post the podcast, just because it is tax time, and you gave some really valuable tips for, to kind of just wrap this all in. What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs aiming to establish a solid financial foundation for their business?
This is going to sound like a funny one, but this was really good advice that was given to me when I started this firm. And it was watch your income, because most of us previously, before starting our own companies, were W-2 employees where we made a predictable income. There generally weren't any like huge spikes in our income. If we were going to be paid a salary of $60,000 a year, that's what our W-2 showed, and taxes were taken out throughout the year. Well, now you've switched to business ownership, and it becomes really easy to kind of think that money, when it comes in from sales, is yours. And you do need to have a little bit of proactive planning for taxes. So the rule of thumb that I usually recommend is to tuck away like 20% into a savings account. If you don't need it, if you're working with the tax preparer, and a strategist who's helping you save on taxes, awesome. You've got money that's been saved throughout the year that you can spend on something fun like going to Mexico with Eric. But if you do need it, then it's there. And then you're not in this, oh crap position. Where am I going to come up with money to pay that tax liability?
I love it. I love it. And if you had one piece of advice for Eric in Mexico, where should he go to make sure that this is a business deduction?
I don't know. I mean, you could check out and see what they're doing as far as marketing in Mexico. I just think enjoy yourself.
No, he had a conference
Away from
earlier.
Cartels, don't get yourself kidnapped. We don't want to see you traded as, in human trafficking.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I don't feel like 6'2", 225 white dudes are the target audience for.
I don't think so either. I think it's probably pretty safe.
I mean, I would go after
cars with strangers.
I did all of these things just last week when I was in Mexico. Right. And I was taking pictures of the cars of strangers that I was in. So
I'm getting in my car on my phone.
I fully believe that.
Yeah, I did. He knows you well. Again, thank you so much. If our viewers wanted to start over, if our listeners wanted to contact you, how would they get a hold of you?
Have them, visit our website, busybeeadvisors.com. From the website, there's a form. I think our giveaway right now is a guide to QuickBooks Online, which is super helpful. I did want to, again, offer any of your listeners a copy of my newest book, The 4-Hour Bookkeeper. It's a real book. It's for sale on Amazon, but I just really love giving back to entrepreneurs. So have them fill out the form on the website. Just say, send me my free book. We'll send it to them. But the website is busybeeadvisors.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I know I will definitely be reaching out to you. And yeah, we're so excited. Eric, do you want to wrap this up for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everyone for tuning into another episode. Melissa, thank you again for your time and your expertise. And for anyone listening out there, we appreciate your feedback. So please leave us a 5-star review. We'll give you a high five if you give us a 5-star review. And also, again, be sure to head over to busybeeadvisors.com, fill out the form, get a hold of Melissa, and get a copy of her book. Thank you again for listening, and we will catch you all next time.
And that wraps up another episode of The Trademark, where we bridge the worlds of the trades and marketing, one story at a time. We can't wait to see you next time. Thank you to the trades for giving back big, loving big, and taking massive action. Don't forget to join us next time for more engaging conversations and innovative ideas. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and share it with your colleagues and friends in the trades and marketing. Your support means the world to us. Stay connected with us off the air by following us on social media. We'd love to hear your thoughts and get your feedback. Until next time, keep making your mark in the trades. Thank you for listening to The Trademark. Goodbye for now, and remember, we're with the trades for the trades.